In this video, I want to explain a little bit about what is happening in terms of this process here. So each of the following webs are based on a given equation. So here's our web, goes from here to here. State the change, the alteration that was made by placing the operation and the value in the box, and then compute the new value of the expression. So right here we have an expression, x minus 3 divided by 2. This part is the expression. Now it's an equation because we know its value is equal to 4. We know that one of its steps was a division, was its last step, and the step prior to that was subtraction. What we want to do is take this, so there's already been 2 alterations that have been made, and we want to make a third alteration to it. So we're starting here, and we move into this alteration. We see that the change is that from here to this next alteration is that there's an addition of 5, so that means we're going to add 5. And if we add 5, this value of the original one is 4, and if we increase the expression 5 units, then that means the new expression is going to be worth 9 units. Now let's look at this one over here. This one is a little bit trickier. We see the original expression and its value of 4. And when we notice its alteration, we see that the only thing that changed is the 2 changes to an 8, and that's in the denominator, 2 to an 8. So if we think the top isn't changing, so let's just kind of have a quick thought about, we start with something 1/2, because this is, we can assume that this is kind of like just being a 1, because the only thing that's changing, and we can make this a 1 as well, is the bottom, an 8. So the 1's remain the same. And it's kind of an easy way to look at this because we can see here, by using 1's up here, we can make this a little bit easier. We need the 2 to become an 8. So there's lots of ways we can do this. We could subtract 6, but if we subtract 6, that doesn't keep things in proportion here. So we need to figure out how are we going to go from 2 to 8. So one way is to multiply by 4. But if I multiply by 4 and I keep the 1's the same, I have to multiply by 1. And then, so I know, if this is true, that 1/2 times 1/4, does that in fact give us 1/8? And it does. And since this does, we know that if this was x minus 3 up here, times 1, I still get x minus 3. So I know that in my box, I have multiplied by 1/4. I could also say that I divide by 4. Although the division of 4 is a little bit harder to see, whereas the multiplication of 1/4 might be a little bit easier to see. So if I multiply by a 4th or divide by 4, if I multiply by a 4th or divide by 4, and its value was originally 4, then its new value is going to be 1.